I'll come up to a piano and we'll do what's called a pitch raise. And a pitch raise is needed if it's been a long time since it's been tuned. It's really hard on the instrument. It kind of throws it through a loop, and it doesn't make it perfect, but it gets it into a position where it is ready to be fine-tuned. I relate it to repentance. What repentance to me really means, it just means to turn away from the thing that you need to change from and turn toward Jesus Christ. But every day we need to fine-tune something in our life if we want to stay justified or in line with our Father in heaven and his Son, Jesus Christ.
Hey, it's Sarah, and welcome to More Than Musicians. As a pianist, teacher, and the owner of one of the nation's largest music schools, I've spent the last 2 decades watching the power of music change people's lives. But one part of that story rarely gets told, and that's where faith and music collide. This podcast is where we finally get to talk about it. Here, we'll explore how music deepens worship, invites peace, and helps us feel heaven just a little bit closer. I'll be joined by musicians, experts, and friends for faith-filled conversations about the life lessons only music can teach us. I'm so glad you're here. Let's dive in. Today's guest knows the world of piano inside and out, literally. Matthew Braidley Johnson is an entrepreneur in the music industry and runs the largest full-service piano company in Utah. He specializes in tuning, moving, storage, and more. He's also a highly skilled piano technician who recently stepped into the world of composing, releasing 2 beautiful solo piano albums, Lead Thou Me On and Be Still. Matthew served a mission in Indonesia and holds a degree in Middle Eastern Studies and Arabic from BYU. Above all, Matt is a husband and a devoted father to 5 kids. Matt, welcome. So been looking forward to this conversation.
Thanks
for being here.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
You know, I have followed you on social media for quite some time, and I, through that, have discovered that we're practically the same person. And this is why we both have 5 kids.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure our kids remind me your age range.
They're pretty much the same. Right now, my kids are 9, 7, 5, 3, and 1.
Okay, and I'm 9, 7, 7, because I had twins.
Right.
3 and 1.
Which is cool.
So we're the same. We just had the twins.
That's amazing.
And you have how many boys and how many girls?
So we had 4 boys, and then one, our caboose. She's a girl. It's a girl. She's 1. She's just the best. We love her.
She is so cute.
Love her.
Then what I also discovered off air is that we have, I think, the same. I think we were born is your birthday July what?
It's July 30th.
And I'm July 29th.
Okay, so
you're 93.
You're a day older than me, of 1993. Yes.
That is so funny. We're truly,
wow.
And then we both are in the music industry.
Music
here in
industry,
Utah.
so many things. That's awesome.
And it's been really fun to connect with you. I've been anxious to talk to you because I just think you have a great business going. And obviously I'm passionate about entrepreneurs. I'm passionate about the music industry, especially here in Utah. And it looks like you're crushing it. You really are killing it in the space.
Thank you.
And we'll talk more about that. But I want to chat with you. You have so many customers, hopefully amongst our listeners. And I think it'd be really fun for them to get to know you.
Yeah, I think so. What do you want to know?
I want to jump in with this. Your work ethic is so impressive to me. And being a business owner in the same industry, I actually kind of know that there's not a more refining fire in the world than going through business. And so if it's okay, I want to start off your story by telling us about your business, Matthew Braidley Pianos.
Yeah. So what specifically do you want to know first? It's a long story.
It is. It's a good story.
Yeah.
Well, most of all, right now, what I see you doing is the tuning, and I see you tuning for some fun people around the valley.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun. You're very well connected. But I want you to start us from the beginning. When did you first want to start a music business, and what did that look like?
So this is back in 2011, which, as you know, is when you and I graduated high school.
It is.
Different high schools.
And what high school did you go to?
American Fork High School.
Okay, and I was Alta Hawks versus the Cavemen.
Versus the Cavemen. We're, it's fun. And I had some amazing, wonderful musical experiences throughout junior high and high school. I was in the American Fork High School marching band. That's actually where I met my wife.
You did?
Yes.
I did not know that's where you met.
And maybe we can talk about that later. But we met in marching band. So pretty cool. So music's very important to me. I had an AP music theory class taught by Tracy Warby. She was the high school, the choir director there at the time. And I discovered in her class, and I knew this, but I figured out that I had a really good ear. I had a good ear. I could hear things and listen and just kind of know when things are pretty off and just kind of pick out melodies and harmonies in music. And in fact, it's an AP music theory class, but it's divided into two sections, into theory and oral skills. So
I took this class at the same time as you
exactly
in the world. Yes, I took the same class.
It turns out I'm horrible at theory. So you take the AP music theory exam at the end of the semester, right? And there's, again, two sections, two separate scores, and then they take the average of those scores.
Right.
I got the lowest you could possibly score in the theory section.
Really?
And I got basically the highest you could get on the oral skills. So it all evened out, and I passed the exam, and I got college credit for it.
That is so funny.
So
okay, that's good to know about you as a musician. It tells me a lot.
Yes, and which is why I'm horrible at reading music. But I knew I had a good ear. I loved working with tools and just with my hands and everything, right? So my piano growing up was horrendously out of tune. Always. It was like 40 or 50 cents flat all the time. So if I'm trying to like listen to some music and trying to learn a song, it just sounds horrible. If I'm trying to play another instrument with the piano, I have to detune that instrument, right?
To match it.
And it was just, and I always harped on my parents, just, hey, can we get this piano tuned? Can we get it tuned? Can we get it tuned?
It's almost offensive to your ears.
It's very offensive to my ears. And finally, in 2011, it took me long enough when I was 17. You're young in your class. You know how it goes.
Yes,
So,
I know.
Super young. I wasn't quite 18 yet. I'm like, you know what? They're not going to do this. They haven't done it yet. I'm just going to figure out how to do it myself.
Really?
And so I went onto eBay back when that was the thing, purchased like a little $40 piano tuning kit. I've tried to find as much YouTube material as I possibly could at that time, which was pretty limited 14, 15 years ago for piano technician stuff. But I took my piano apart. I asked my parents permission. They're like, yeah, sure, go for it. And I tried to tune the family piano, and it was semi-successful. And it just kind of went from there. I tuned that piano, didn't do a great job. I retuned it. The first time it took me like 10 hours. I had no idea what I was doing.
It seems daunting to me.
Right. It was daunting. And I'm shocked. Like looking back, I'm like, I cannot believe I was that like persistent. Like, how did I not give up? How did I just keep pushing forward and trying to keep learning? It blows my mind to this day.
It's because you were young.
Is that
when
what it
you're
is?
young, that's how it happens.
So, then it kind of grew from there. I'm like, I'm going to start tuning my neighbors' pianos, aunts and uncles, siblings, people who like kind of trusted me, and I was doing it for free. I wouldn't charge people for this just because I was learning.
Yeah.
And it just slowly grew. I probably tuned like 50-ish pianos before my mission. Then I came home in 2014 from the Indonesia Jakarta mission, and I just kept going. And it was always meant to just kind of be this side hustle to get me through college, and then I would find my real career and go from that point. But it just kept growing and growing and growing and getting busier and busier. And now we're literally the largest piano tuning and service in general. So we do piano tuning and moving, and we're the largest piano service company in the entire state of Utah at this point.
It's so awesome. I'm like, I think it's so cool what you've grown in, the 10-year time frame. Or I guess it's been a little more than that.
Yeah, almost 15 years now.
That's incredible. So you learn to tune pianos, you make it, you've created this huge, big company, but I know that the steps of creating a business are not that simple.
No.
There are bumps along the way. In fact, I believe that the people that end up making it to the point that you're at in your business are simply the ones that didn't give up. Sounds like you're persistent with your tuning.
Right.
Sounds like you already had that quality in you, but can you walk us through what the journey was like some of the bumps along the way and getting your feet under you with your business?
Yeah, I mean, and I got married in the middle of doing this. We started having kids. I was going to school full time. I didn't really know what I wanted to do as far as my profession went, because what I studied in school had nothing to do with pianos.
And you have to tell everyone, because that is such a fun fact about you. It's very random.
So it is quite random. I have a degree in Middle Eastern Studies and Arabic from BYU. In fact, in 2017, my wife and I, and at the time, 1.5-year-old son, Oliver, we went to go live in Amman, Jordan, in the Middle East.
Okay.
for 4 or 5-ish months.
I saw a picture of you at Petra, so I was going to ask you about that.
Yes.
So what were you doing there?
Studying Arabic. So
Wow.
I speak Arabic. It's not as good as it was back then. I haven't practiced it as much, but I know the fundamentals and could get it back pretty quickly if I needed to. And it was just such a great experience. Again, has nothing to do with pianos. In fact, there were like 3 pianos in the Middle East that I saw in Jordan. One was, excluding the church building, one was in the big international airport there, but it was gated and covered, so no one was touching it. And then the other 2 were in LDS expat homes. So it just not even, there's no pianos. It's just not part of their culture, right? As opposed to here in Utah where almost everyone has a piano to an extent.
So where did your interest in that come from?
I served a mission in the Indonesia Jakarta mission. Indonesia is the largest Muslim population in the entire world. Population, not percentage, which surprises people because they would think it'd be somewhere in the Middle East.
Yeah,
percentage-wise, it's definitely it's more in the Middle East, but population, just by sheer number, it is in Indonesia. And so my assignment was to learn Indonesian, so that was my mission language. And I got pretty good at that. In fact, I translated for the church for General Conference for 10 years post-mission. But there was something about the culture, the religion of Islam that just fascinated me. And I would hear Arabic. They didn't really, not very many people actually spoke Arabic, but their scriptures, they're called the Quran, that was in Arabic with an Indonesian translation next to it. They had these big loud speakers on every street corner on most of the mosques there that would announce the call to prayer 5 times a day. And that was in Arabic. The Idhan is what it's called. And I just loved it. And I felt inspired to learn Arabic when I came home. So I did.
I went to the BYU Jerusalem Center, and we actually went to Amman, Jordan as part of that trip.
You
we
would
went
have
to
for a little
Petra.
bit,
And I understand why you're so fascinated with it. The call to prayer still to this day,
It's so good.
It hits something so deep within me, just how nostalgic that is for that time of my life. And I think that's so cool. And we got the opportunity while we were there to take either Hebrew or Arabic, and
Which one did you choose?
Hebrew.
Okay.
But I am very bad at learning languages, and it sounds like you are very good, and that is an amazing skill.
You know what? I'm good at learning the languages that the Lord wants me to learn.
That's all you need.
I came home from my mission, and I'm like, oh, I got Indonesian down. Like I'm fluent, like native educated level fluent.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm going to learn Spanish. That would be so useful in Utah. I came home, I got like a D- in my class. It was just like, I probably could have worked harder, and I bet I could, but I for some reason, it just did not come to me the way the gift of tongues was not employed for me at that time. And I thought it'd be fun to just sit down and learn Spanish real quick. It didn't happen. But then the Arabic, again, I felt called to learn that one. In fact, I felt called to learn that language while I was in the MTC studying Indonesian. I specifically remember coming down the stairs in the MTC, in the old buildings, these big long staircases all the way down to the bottom. We were at the top floor. I remember going downstairs at 5:30 in the morning so I get all the hot water.
Yes.
Because by the time you're supposed to get up at 6:30, the hot water's gone. And turning around I have my towel, I've got my shampoo, turning around the corner, and the Spirit just hits me. You are to learn Arabic. And I thought, no, I'm supposed to, you told me to learn Indonesian. What is this?
Yeah.
And I was so confused. And I think that was the Lord planting a seed in my mind for, it wasn't a right now personal revelation, but it was a sometime in the future.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, awesome. I'm going to put that on the shelf, but I'll always remember it and I'll come back to it at some point.
And do you think that's still on the shelf right now?
Yes, I do.
You still don't have that answer quite clear?
I think one day we'll use it again. We could speculate, but I don't know.
Well, I'm excited. I'm really excited to see what ends up becoming of that. And I have no doubt that you'll make a difference with using it in some way.
Yeah, I hope so.
That's incredible. Okay, we got to get back to your story, though.
Back to music.
Yes, back to your business and getting that off the ground.
Yeah.
You didn't take the path that you were studying in school, but instead, rather, you you still were drawn to the music side of business.
Yeah. And so I graduated, I basically had a choice. Like I could be applying for all these internships to work in like embassies in the Middle East or in Indonesia. But my wife and I were faced with a choice, and we had this piano business, and it was growing consistent. Like I had never like really aggressively tried to grow it, but we thought, you know what, we ended up choosing to just stay here in Utah and continue building that business. It's just the choice that we made.
Yeah.
And that was 6 years ago now at this point.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad we did. I'm sure our life would be great also if we chose the other route, but then we wouldn't be having this conversation probably.
I know. And I think there's something that people need to hear from Matthew Braidley about your life experiences. So you were a dealer of Bechstein initially.
Yeah.
Tell us about how you got into the piano selling business and then
Right.
how you transitioned out of that.
That's a great question. So in 2020, there was some big pandemic that do you
Yes, I
remember
recall,
anything about
just
that?
Slightly, yes.
COVID-20, what was it called?
The most stressful time
I can't
of
remember.
life.
Anyway, and the piano industry like boomed during that time.
We felt that.
You probably felt that
We
too.
did,
You can
and
probably
we were
relate.
very grateful for that.
Service was like that May after the shutdown was my record breaking month. That was the most money I'd ever made in a single month, was that May of 2020. And I also was hearing around that like pianos were selling off the shelves like crazy too. And I'm like, you know what? I know more about pianos inside and out than any salesperson out there. Let's sell them. And so the story of C. Bechstein was piano manufacturers are I think it's kind of like car dealerships where they have exclusive territories. You can't have like two Yamaha dealerships right next to each other unless it's the same owner. But that would be silly anyway. But it would be conflicting, right? And so I'm like, Yamaha, that's a well-known brand. That's someone that already is selling that. Same with like Kawai, same with Steinway and some of these other names, right? And so I'm like, I have to sell something here in Utah that is not here already. A great piano that's not here. And I loved German pianos. There's something about German manufacturing that it just really drew me in. And I made a list of like 7 German manufacturers. I'm like, I want to try all these pianos because I had tuned and worked on all these pianos, but most of them are older instruments. I didn't have much experience with them as a new piano. So I booked a flight down to Southern California and went to Texas as well to try out all these different German manufacturers. And I remember I walked into a dealership in Orange County, and there was a 6-foot Bechstein sitting right there in front of me right when I opened the door. I came and I asked the owner, I was like, hey, can I play this piano? I was like, sure, sit down, play it. It's like a $75,000 instrument. And I was just hit with this weird magicalness when I played it. I was like, this is the piano.
This is it.
Utah needs this piano. And I just felt so drawn. It was the first new Bechstein I had ever played. And it was such almost a spiritual experience. Playing that and just having it respond back to me and like just penetrating my soul. And I knew from that moment that this was the one that I was supposed to be selling. So after that, I went to Berlin, did some training there, some technical training and some sales training as well. And I visited the factory, and I came back and became the Utah's exclusive dealer, C. Bechstein. So I actually opened the store in 2021. What is that? 4 years ago. And then a year ago, I feel like I was divinely inspired to open the piano store. Mm-hmm. I also feel like I was divinely inspired to close it down. And I'm so glad I did the piano store because I made connections, opportunities came to me. I had experiences that otherwise would not have happened. And one day last year, I was actually looking at opening a second location in Park City. And I all of a sudden felt this like, you should consider just closing down altogether. And I thought that seems to be in opposition to what I'm wanting to do, to what I'm wanting to do. I thought that's weird. So I came home and I talked to my wife, Eliza, about it. And we realized that the piano store, it just wasn't super conducive to what we wanted for our family life.
Yeah.
A lot of late nights.
Yeah.
A lot of I had to work basically every Saturday because it's retail. I have to do it. And we thought, why don't we change our business model a little bit and not have a store anymore. And that was one of the hardest decisions we've ever had to make together. But we ended up choosing to stop doing it. And it's been great. It's just like when we make hard decisions that we're scared of, there's always like a miracle, like something awesome on the other side of that fear that does things in our life that we never could have comprehended. Just like when you trust God, he's like, hey, I want you to do this thing. I know you're scared. I know it's maybe not what you thought you would be doing, but I want you to do it. And there's always something amazing on the other side of that decision. And so our life for the past year has just been awesome. I get to work from home. I still sell pianos, just like people out of state. I'll sell them sight and unseen. People just, hey, I want this piano. I'll be able to send it to them. I have a few Becksteins in my house. I can show people that in my house. I've actually sold a fair amount of them in the last year without having a showroom. And we've been focusing on the service business, on the piano tuning and the piano moving for the in-home stuff. And it's just been great. It's been awesome.
It's incredible. I think it says a lot about you that you listened to that prompting, because sometimes when we get a prompting that we kind of don't want to hear, it's really easy to ignore it or to push it aside. And I think that is a really neat and powerful thing that you did in listening to the prompting, even though it doesn't make sense. And I think that's kind of a common theme emerging from this whole thing is sometimes we need to do things, but we don't know the outcome yet. And there is an element of trust there. And so what does that trust, how do you just rely on the Lord in those moments? How do you develop that trust without knowing it's going to pan out?
The short answer is you just do it. The long answer is there's a story in, is it Exodus 14, where Moses had just led the children of Israel out of Egypt, out of bondage, slavery. And then they get to the Red Sea. They get to the Red Sea and they're like, there's no boat here, Moses. Like, what's the plan? What's the game plan? There's no tram. There's no boat. Like, and it says, the record says that Pharaoh had sent like 600 of his finest chariots, of his finest soldiers to go and just kill them. Yeah. And they're looking back. They can probably hear the hooves. They can see the dust rising. They're like, hey, they're coming. What do we do here? And they're probably like, they're scared, right? And Moses, he turns around and he says this. He says, fear not, stand still and see the salvation of God. And according to the record, I don't think Moses quite knew what was going to happen either. And some translations of the Bible say, fear not, be still and see the salvation of God. So stand still, be still. And we know the story. At that point, Moses goes to the Red Sea and the Lord performs the miracle of parting it. So they're able to cross it on dry land and they're able to get away from Pharaoh's chariots. But I can imagine the mindset of the Israelites at that point being that of fear, and rightfully so. And almost not understanding what Moses was saying, like, wait, you want us to, don't you see they're about to kill us? They're about to end our lives. But you want me to just chill out? You want me to be still right now? See, like, what salvation? There is no salvation. But it is in those moments where I take the time to be still is when I see the salvation of the Lord, even when I don't quite know, again, what's on the other side of that Red Sea. I don't know what's going to happen totally. It takes repetition. It takes trust. It takes watching other people's experiences and other people's testimonies and learning to apply that to my own life. And it's just, that's what it is. It's trust. You don't know. You don't know if you can believe 100%. It's one of those, Lord, I believe, help thou mine unbelief situations.
Yeah.
And that's that hymn, Be Still My Soul, is so special to me because of that story. And there's so many stories littered throughout the scriptures that address that exact same principle. Just when you trust in the Lord, when you take time, you be still, you contemplate, you ponder, you imagine, and you feel his peace. That's what opens the gate of trust for me. And so that hymn is so special to me. And we have times that are turbulent in our lives. And so like the particular arrangement that I composed for Be Still My Soul, it's kind of minor sounding actually. And you'll hear it in just a second. And that symbolizes that just because you're having hard things going on in your life doesn't mean you can't sit down and be still and feel the peace of Jesus Christ. And then it resolves into this hopeful, major, triumphant ending.
The advice to sit and be still is something that I need to hear, and it's something I think that our audience needs to hear. We are bombarded, I feel, with so much different information, and to your credit, we're pulled in different directions. Mm-hmm. And we have different choices that we can make. And like you said at the beginning, the choices lead to good avenues. You'd probably find happiness in many of the options. But I have to really commend you. I am so, I just genuinely admire you and that decision that you made to put your family and your lifestyle first. It's not an easy thing to do, but from watching you on social media, you're an incredible father. You're a very in tune father.
Thank you.
And you can tell that the decision that you've made is going to allow you to, in the future, maybe accomplish the ultimate goals that you have, which are to be present with them. I think the advice to slow down is very, very much needed. And so I would love for you to play that song for us now. So we just got to hear Be Still, My Soul. Incredible. And I could hear exactly what you're describing with the dissonance and the constant, as it resolves into something beautiful. I could hear all of that. What got you into composing in the first place?
Oh, how much time do we have? Just kidding. And this is going to sound really, I don't know what this is going to sound like, but so take it for what it is. But having a really nice piano is honestly what initially inspired this, like, oh, wait, I can actually like play stuff because it's really fun to play. It inspires me and it just like does something to my soul. Like there's something about the wood inside this piano that just speaks to my heart and is like unlocking this gift that apparently I had that I didn't know I had for the first 28 years of my life. And that's what started it. I remember just like diddling around on the piano and finding some sort of, I don't know the technical terms, cadence, something that sounded cool. And then all of a sudden the hymn Lead Kindly Light just like popped into my head, the melody.
Yeah.
I'm like, what if I play Lead Kindly Light with my left hand while I do this with my right hand? This is, well, now what if I do this? And it just kind of, I accidentally created my first hymn arrangement. And that's what is the title of my first hymn arrangement book is Lead Thou Me On, which is a phrase from that hymn.
You have it here.
Light.
Show us.
I'm just show you the cover of it. Excuse me. And this is this cover. So Lead Thou Me On. That's a sunrise over Utah Lake. My friend Jeff Beck took this photo actually, and it's the first one in this book. Is Lead Kindly Light. It's because it's the first one I ever did.
So it kind of composing found you.
Yeah, on accident.
Yeah.
It did. A late evening in front of my piano.
I appreciate your patience with our piano here in the studio because it is nowhere as nice as the Beckstein that you're used to playing on at home.
That's okay.
But I liked how you said when we were chatting earlier off camera, you said, I asked you how you get inspiration for these compositions. And you said inspiration comes while trying to find it. And what I like about that is that it implies action.
Yeah.
You have to take action. I've long wanted to do a hymn arrangement book, and I get really, I love to talk about it and I love to share my ideas, but the action, putting like actual pen to paper, that's where I'm lacking, and that's where you have succeeded. What are your thoughts on that?
So, and we all have busyness in our life. Like you're a mom. I'm married to a mom, and they're busy people. And that probably sounded like I married my mom. I didn't marry my mom.
No, he's married to a beautiful lady named Eliza.
Mother who, her name's Eliza. My mom's great too. And she's just so busy, and there's so many things that we want to do, and you have to figure out, you have to prioritize, and you have to prioritize by being intentional. And while I fell into composing, I wasn't very intentional about it. I had to keep being intentional about it if I actually wanted to finish it. If I wanted to finish that book or the second book that I just came out with. So there's a formula that I use to receive inspiration. And this is, I derive it from the beginning of 3 Nephi chapter 17. I don't know if we probably don't have time to open it up, but it's you have to ask for it. You do. You have to ask. And then you have to be open to receiving that inspiration. And coupled with that, sub A, you have to be eager to receive it. Like, so ask, be open to it, and eager, not just open, but like actually really, really wanting it. And then the third thing is you have to be patient. You have to be patient. You have to wait. Sometimes you have to wait. It's so frustrating having to wait sometimes. But then the last thing is you have to be willing to actually act on the inspiration that you receive. So I've received inspiration for like, and not just in composing, but with anything in life. But I'll use specific composing examples. Late at night when I'm lying down in bed, I'll just be like, so cozy, so warm. I'm under my covers. And I'll have some inspiration come to my head. I'm like, I gotta go work on that. But I'm like, but if I go downstairs all the way to the piano, maybe I should put a piano right next to my bed. I'm gonna do that.
A Beckstein.
It has to be Beckstein. If I go downstairs, I'm going to be down there for like a half an hour. I'm so tired. And then in the morning, if I don't act on that inspiration, it's gone. I've already forgotten it. And so, but these compilations, these arrangements have all been inspiration that I've actually acted on, right? You have to be willing to actually act upon the inspiration that you receive. So and it makes me sad if like and again, this is not just composing, but with a lot of other facets of life, when you don't act upon it, you lose it. It's gone.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like there's something so powerful in like, I always think of being in motion, you know, like an escalator. I think of that all the time, like where we're sliding down unless we're actively taking steps upward. Yeah. And I like the scripture that you shared too, is just, there are so many things in life that we are going to be up against, so many choices. And then at the end of the day, we just have to prioritize, like you said, what is most important for us. And we can only know that through our own personal revelation and experiences. So I know you've had a lot of spiritual experiences with music. You've mentioned some of those to me, but I want to ask how you use music to fill the Spirit and to tap into God's love.
I can't always choose when I get a strong spiritual experience, right? I believe I feel the Spirit through music, and most people do. I think they do. And to varying degrees of power, right? And there's that French term, is it called frisson?
Frisson. I love it. Yes.
And that's like, you feel the chills when you hear music. And I do that too. But I feel the chills when I listen to like a Foo Fighters song.
Yeah.
Or a Rachmaninoff piano concerto, right? But then there's something about, and I believe that is spiritual. I do. But there's sometimes an extra added layer and an extra element to it where it is testifying about Jesus Christ, which amplifies that feeling, right? For example, I remember one time on my mission, while we had just been whitewashed, which is like neither myself nor my companion know anything about the area. We don't know anything about the investigators or the board members or anything. And we were just I was feeling just super down, like a week into it. Like we had we taught 0.5 lessons that week. And I'm just like, oh, I'm done. This is so hard. And I was toward the end of my mission, feeling a little trunky. And then I remember my companion, who was Indonesian, Anggang Suryono. Suryono? Yeah, that's his name. Anggang Suryono. So my companion, Anggang Suryono, is a native Indonesian. I just remember him. He was standing behind me. We were walking around and he just sang. He was singing "Hark All Ye Nations," but in Indonesian, and the latter part of it where it's like, "Pancarkan terang dari surya sinar Injil." Hey, he was just singing it, and I remember feeling this like wave of like, "Oh no, this is the Lord's work," and I don't think in that moment there's anything else that could have penetrated my attitude, right? And I felt the Spirit so strongly, and I turned around and I was like, "Elder, thank you. Let's do this."
I needed that.
Yeah, I needed that. And then in 2020, my wife and I, and at the time, I think, how many kids did we have? I think we had 3 kids at that point, 2 or 3, I can't remember. When President Nelson read that the proclamation of the Restoration, and at the end of that, the choir, or there was some video of "We Thank Thee, O God, for a Prophet" being sung. And I just remember like the Spirit just descended upon me, and the chills and but all the other things of the Spirit also just like penetrated my soul. And I turn over to Eliza, my wife, and she's just like, she's crying too. And I'm probably crying. I'm like, what is happening right now? And so that's another example of that. So could we call it frisson? We could, but also like a deeper one, because Doctrine and Covenants section 11 says, "And this is my Spirit, and it shall enlighten your mind and shall fill your soul with joy." And that's the difference, is when you have that enlightening, it's like kind of that light bulb moment, and joy/peace. That's the Spirit.
I love how you differentiate the two, because I think sometimes, and I've said this in another episode, but people will be critical, and they'll say, oh, that's why,
Yeah.
people think they're feeling a Holy Spirit. It's just a natural phenomenon. And I'm like, no, but the God that created our bodies with such intention, he gave us that phenomenon to get us to listen.
And you know what? I said earlier, I believe it is spiritual, and it is. The Doctrine and Covenants section 29 also says that everything was created spiritually first before it was created temporally. So like whatever, people are like, oh, it's just chemicals. And it is chemicals. Sure, I'm open to that. But who created those chemicals? God did.
Yeah.
They were created spiritually before they were created physically in our actual brains. And I think that that's true of our bodies. It's true of objects in nature, animals, rocks, wood, trees. I think that's why I like connect so well with like good acoustic instruments, because like some of their spirits are just nice. Like the woods that they use, like on a Bechstein, for example, they use for the soundboard is this spruce from the Val di Fiemme forest in Italy. And it's just this is really exclusive forest that there's only 2 piano manufacturers in the world have access to this forest. And it's really high elevation, tight growth rings in the tree. It really speaks to me that honestly, the spirit of the wood it speaks to me.
This episode was made possible by The Piano Place. I can promise you that I will never run an ad on this show that I don't wholeheartedly believe in. This is one service I can confidently put my name behind. When I started The Piano Place 10 years ago, I had no idea just how deeply music would impact people. I've watched shy kids find their confidence, teens discover an emotional outlet, moms rediscover their connection to themselves, and families strengthen their homes through music. At The Piano Place, we match every student with a teacher who fits them, their unique personality, and their goals. Everything from our recitals to our state-of-the-art studio locations are designed to help inspire creativity from the moment our students walk in the door. Our tagline, Making More Than Musicians, gives insight to our main mission, which is to help kids learn to love and stick with lessons, all while discovering the great life lessons along the way. With 12 locations across Utah, it's never been easier to get started. You can visit our website, thepianoplaceutah.com, and if you mention More Than Musicians, you will get your first lesson free. That's at 801-893-2417. That's 801-893-2417. Give us a call today and we'll get you taken care of.
There's this guy in Orem. His name is Robert Rask. In fact, he's like, you should have him on this podcast. He's awesome. And he builds custom guitars. And I went there, this was like a month ago, and we sat down. He's like, all right, so what kind of wood do you want to use in your guitar? Because I'm having him make one for me. And I was like, I have no idea. I think walnut's really pretty. And he's like, walnut is really pretty. What kind of a sound are you trying to go for? So I went into a little bit more in depth of what kind of a sound I'm trying to go for. And he said, you don't strike me as the walnut guy. And I thought, what does that even mean?
What am I?
what kind of a guy? Like, what am I? And so he brought me over to his table. He brought out, he's like, here's a piece of walnut for you. I set it on the table. And then he got 3 other types of wood. He got ebony, which is really dark, really pretty wood as well. He got the piece of walnut, and he had, I think it was called, was it Chechen? And then he had another wood called Cocobolo. And I was like, these sound really exotic and kind of cool. And what he would do is he would so he took each piece of wood and he held it at the corner like this. And he would, I think he like thumped it with his finger or flicked it or something right next to my ear. And I could listen to the wood. And he was basically saying, hey, what tone do you like more? So he held up the walnut, and I'm a nerd, and I like, there's in piano building and piano technology, there's what's called sustain. How long does the note last by just hitting the note? How long is it going to keep ringing by itself without being interrupted? So I was listening to sustain. I actually like recorded how many seconds the wood would sustain by him flicking the wood. And he did it multiple times. He was really consistent with his flicking the wood. And the walnut, I was really unimpressed with the sustain, how long the wood would sustain. It sounded really pretty. It had like beautiful overtones, but it just didn't do it for me. I'm like, but that's so pretty. And it was gorgeous piece of wood. Then he held up the ebony next to my ear, and he flicked it, and the sustain was so long. It was like twice as long as the walnut was, but it had minor overtones. I'm like, I don't connect with that as well. And he held up the I cannot remember the third piece of wood, but he held it up and flicked it. And I wasn't very impressed. Then he held up the cocobolo. He flicked it, had the same amount of sustain as the ebony did, but it had major overtones. Like it sounded beautiful. And I thought, I think that's the one I like. But again, I love the walnut. It looks so good. I want it to be the walnut. Yeah. He said, I'm going to try and experiment with you. He said, this is going to sound really cuckoo or woo-woo, however you want to describe it. He said, I want you to close your eyes. I said, okay. So I closed my eyes. He said, I'm going to put these in a random order on the table in front of us, the 4 different woods, and I'm going to give them to you in a random order. I want you to hug each piece of wood. You close your eyes. I don't want you to see what wood you're hugging. And just like feel it and like put your face up against it. And I'm like, where am I? What am I trying to feel? Like, what am I looking for? And he said, I don't know. Just listen. Okay. And so I just trusted him, and he's done this before. I just trusted him. And I closed my eyes. He would give me each piece of wood. And then he said that he wanted me to put them on the table in the order that I liked, that I connected with each piece of wood with more. So my first favorite would be right here, second, third, and my least favorite on the far right. So I did it, and I laid them out in order, and I opened my eyes, and wait, did I open my eyes? You might have to do some editing on this. I then laid them out in front of me. He said, okay, cool. Keep your eyes closed. We're going to do it again. And I thought, why? What's the point of doing this again? He's like, I'm just looking for something.
Another round of hugs.
Just trust me. We're going to hug the wood. We're going to hug the trees one more time. I said, okay. So he gives them to me again in a random order. I'm feeling them. I'm putting them on my cheek. I'm hugging them. I'm trying to feel their energy, whatever you want to call it. And I set them out in order again. He's like, awesome. I want you to do it one last time. So I did it 3 times. And he's like, okay, I want you to open your eyes. And I looked out, and the cocobolo was number 1 on there. And then it was the ebony. And then it was the other 2. And the walnut was dead last.
Really?
And he said, with the exception of the first and second time, you switched around these 2, the last, your 2 least favorite, once. You switched them around once in order. But other than that, everything was consistent every single time. I'm like, this is wild. Everything was created spiritually before it was created physically.
Wow.
And so the natural frequencies, musical frequencies and energy coming out of that particular wood connected with my soul the best. And that was that I wasn't looking. I don't know how to explain it totally. That's my best explanation of it.
What a cool story.
It really is, actually. I'm super excited to like actually play the guitar. It's going to take like a year and a half to build.
Well, so you know guitar too.
Yeah.
And that's, I saw you playing it on your Instagram. I'm like, okay, he knows 2 languages. He knows multiple instruments. What did you play in band?
The French horn.
The French horn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow.
French horn.
Some people are just very blessed.
Thank you.
Very, very blessed.
It was fun. I really had a great musical upbringing, a great experience. I like to try a lot of things. I would say I'm mediocre at a lot of things. I'm not great at one thing. I don't know.
But you took lessons growing up.
I did take lessons growing up. This is interesting. I was vehemently against taking piano lessons when I was a little kid, before I turned 8. I'm like, I don't even like music. I hate it when it's played in the home. I hate it when my dad plays the guitar. I hate it when my mom tries to encourage me to take piano lessons when the time comes. But then something happened when I turned 8. A switch was flipped. And we can speculate on what that was. But all of a sudden I'm like, Mom, I'm ready to take piano lessons. She thought, where did this come from? I'm like, I don't know. Let's just do it. So she didn't waste any time. She got me in lessons with a woman just down the road from us in our ward. Sandra Stone is her name. And I basically owe my whole life to Sandra Stone, oddly enough. And she wasn't like a super, we did recitals and stuff, but like she wasn't involved with like UMTA or like Federation or Encore, like the festival stuff. She wasn't like super involved with those kinds of things, but she was, I think, the perfect teacher for me. She was patient with me because, believe it or not, I didn't like practicing a whole lot.
Same. I know.
Imagine that, right?
I know. It's normal, parents. It's okay.
Yeah. When I was 12, I quit piano lessons, but I still stuck with music. I learned how to play the French horn when I turned 12. When I went to junior high, I learned how to play guitar when I was in 9th grade. And piano, I always tinkered on the piano, but I had an experience when I was in the MTC where Elder Bednar and his wife Susan came to visit us and at a devotional, and he spoke to us, and he gave a great talk, but Sister Bednar stood up before him. She spoke first. She stood up, and all she did was bear her testimony about music for like 10 minutes. And I don't remember a single line of what she said, but I just remember what the Spirit told me was music needs to be an integral part of your mission, and you need to start playing the piano again. And so on P days, I'd try and practice as much as I could because I was really rusty. But Sister Bednar inspired me to really get back into piano playing.
So as a piano tuner, what have you learned about the importance of having an in-tune instrument? And how would you maybe draw parallels to that of tuning our own heart or spirit?
Wow, what a profound question. It's funny. I will tune just the junkiest, most neglected, free KSL, free Facebook Marketplace piano. Nothing works. It sounds horrible. Like in the first of the morning, and then after that, I'll go to another appointment. It'll be like a 6-figure piano, like a really expensive Bechstein or Steinway or Fazioli or something like that, or Busendorfer. And the interesting is that both need service, both need attention, both need to be tuned. The initial one, I'll come up to a piano and we'll do what's called a pitch raise if it's needed. And a pitch raise is needed if it's like a certain amount flat, if it's like really, it's been a long time since it's been tuned. And the pitch raise, it's really hard on the instrument. It's tough. It's really hard on the tuning pins, the strings, the bridges, the soundboard. There's lots of flexing. You're increasing the tension of the whole piano, raising it up. And it kind of throws it through a loop, and it doesn't make it perfect, but it gets it into a position where it is ready to be fine-tuned. And I look at that and I go through my life and I'm like, where in my life have I needed just like a whole overhaul, a whole pitch raise versus just a fine-tuning? And I relate it to repentance. And what repentance to me really means, it just means to turn. It means to change, but just like turn around 180 degrees, turn in the opposite direction of where you were facing, turn away from the thing that you need to change from, and turn toward Jesus Christ. And sometimes the turn is a full 180, and sometimes the turn is just like a little small adjustment, right? It's like, ooh, I need to come back a little bit.
Yeah.
And with piano tuning, you're turning the tuning pins with a tuning lever. I should have brought a tuning lever to demonstrate, and sometimes they're more intense turns, and sometimes they're just little, like I'm literally moving the tuning pin a tenth of a cent, just so finely, right? And the good news is when you do a pitch raise, when you do that overhaul, like I correlate that to in my life when I've needed to make big changes, painful changes that turn me away from something really just pulling me away from God. And hopefully, if you don't neglect that process anymore, you'll never need to do a pitch raise ever again. Never again. If you stay consistent with a yearly tuning, for example. But we all in life will need some fine tuning here and there. Like we need to be recentered. We've gone a little bit sharp. We've gone a little bit flat, just by a few cents. Or one unison in our life is out right here. When I say unison, on most of the keys on a piano, there are actually 3 strings per note. They all need to be vibrating at the exact same frequency if you want that one note to sound clear. And if one of them is just slightly off, you'll get this wah, 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 wah sound in the note. And just quickly tweak that unison for it to be a clear tone, to have that tonal clarity in life. So when I want a more clear connection with God, I have to change some things. I've got to make sure that I'm doing the things that really make me in tune with Him and His will and what He wants for me, rather than what I want for me, or what someone else wants for me, right? And so I hope I've done all the pitch raising in my own life that I just need to do fine tuning for the rest of my life. I hope. I'm trying. We try every day. But every day we need to fine tune something in our life if we want to stay justified or in line with our Father in heaven and His Son, Jesus Christ.
That analogy is really powerful to me. It resonates a lot with me because I am bothered when I hear my piano even a little bit out of tune. And luckily you came in and saved the day on that. But it's just a testament to what power we can have by just tuning little things. Little adjustments can make a huge difference in our life.
And you know what? And some people have no idea that their piano is like totally
so bad,
horrendously out of tune.
Yeah.
And that's another, you can draw more parallels from that. It's like, are we even aware? Like, Lord, is it I?
Yeah.
Do you even know that there's something amiss or something wrong with you? Or are you numb to it? Or are you ignorant to it?
Yeah.
Right. And so, but you get to a point in your musical life, you're like, ooh, that one thing, it's ruining the whole experience for me. Right. So it's interesting.
Part of that is asking, kind of what we were talking about before, being in action and saying, how can I be better, working to improve yourself? I love the song Come Thou Fount, where it says, tune my heart to sing thy grace. And I keep thinking of that. I also love the song Savior Redeemer, and it talks about harmonies. Chasten my soul till I shall be in perfect harmony with thee. All these musical words. I knew we'd have a fun time drawing the parallels with them. It's just, there are so many when it comes to music and to feeling the Spirit. And I know that you know that.
Yeah. Thank you.
On your social media, you recently posted a photo. It's of a Bechstein piano with what would you call that? The lid or the cover taken off so we can see the exposed
the front
strings.
panel. Yeah.
Front panel. And it's in your amazing studio, and you have this beautiful picture of Christ above it. I'm curious what that picture symbolizes to you.
That picture to me, it's one of those things that just speaks to my heart, right? We see something in life and you're like, I need that in some capacity. I don't quite know how, but I need that. And I was looking for the perfect picture to have above my piano and like in the middle between the 2 lights that I have over the piano. And that one, it was the right size, the right frame. It was just perfect. And the picture is of Christ on the water. And I believe he's, I may have to look at it again, but I think you can see the disciples in the distance on a boat, and you can see it's kind of stormy outside. And for me, just because you're a follower of Jesus Christ or a disciple of His does not exclude you from going through hard things. You're either in the middle of a storm, you're either just coming out of a storm, or you're just about to head into a storm. Like the odds are not great. They're not in our favor, right? The point of that story, and this goes back a little bit earlier to he says, it's where he says, peace, be still. He calms down the storm. And that may have been a different instance in the scriptures. I think he's walking on the water right now, but still, it's during a storm, and he has the ability to calm the storm. But aside from that point, what I want in my life is trials. A wise bishop once said to me that trials are choices, and everyone's going to go through trials, no matter if you have the Lord in your life or not. But I bear testimony that when the Lord will yoke ourselves to him, that the trial is not always taken away, but it is made easier. For his yoke is easy and his burden is light. And so I want to have him be with me throughout the storms in my life, which leads me to my favorite hymn, actually, which is Abide With Me 'Tis Eventide. It's my favorite one. There's a story in Luke 24 in the scriptures where Jesus had just barely been resurrected. He had just been killed, was laid in the tomb for 3 days, and had risen on the third day. And Jesus is walking, and he comes behind two guys, and they're just chatting, and they're actually talking about Jesus. Like, there was this guy, and he did this and this and this. And Jesus comes up behind them and says that their eyes were holden, that they knew him not. So they didn't even know who it was, but Jesus comes, he's like, what are you guys talking about? And they're like, there was this guy. He was like, apparently was the Redeemer of Israel, and he was this great prophet, but they took him, they judged him, they killed him. But then apparently, like this morning, his tomb was empty. Like, there's just some crazy stuff going on. We don't even know what's happening. And they're telling him this, and it's the guy that it's happened to. It's Jesus. He's like, oh, you guys, he says, the record says that he called them fools. He's like, you guys are idiots. Like, come on, it's me. And then he says he opened up the scriptures to them, and he testified to them about Jesus Christ from the scriptures. It would have just been the Old Testament back then. And they were just like stunned. They were just in awe. And they had gotten to the place where they were going to stay for the night. And Jesus was like, all right, well, that was fun. I'm going to keep going. But then the record says that they constrained him to stay. Like, no, you please stay with us. This is sudden. And it says, abide with us. It's almost nighttime. And so Jesus then, he's like, you know what? I will. Let me come in. And he sits there with them. And that's what abide means. It just simply means stay. And he says that he broke bread with them. It sounds like he performed the sacrament with them. He did the ordinance of the sacrament with them. And then as soon as they partook of that bread, it says that their eyes were opened and they knew who it was, that it was Jesus, the resurrected Christ. And I just think about that experience for them and how profound that must have been. And it's a reminder, the song Abide With Me 'Tis Eventide, which is where that line comes from. Hey, stay with us. It's almost nighttime. It makes that story more powerful and is a reminder and an invitation to me to constrain the Lord by action, by asking him to stay with me in my life. Hey, Lord, stay with me, abide with me. I want to know you better. I want you to be with me throughout every little thing in my life, not just the hard stuff, but make the good stuff better as well, because everything you touch is beautiful, is made beautiful. So that hymn for me comforts me in times where I need him a little bit extra in my life. And it's really a prayer of my heart to invite him to stay with me.
We're so lucky that we get to hear your favorite hymn. We'll do that now. Matt, thank you for sharing your music and thank you for being with us today. Yeah. It's so fun to chat with you. We have so many parallels, so many similarities. You were even talking about when you quit piano lessons. I quit at the same age. I did the same thing as you. But look at us here talking about music, having our passion for it. And I wanted to just finish with this last question. Matt, if someone listening today could take just one final lesson from your life, music, family, faith, hope, testimony, what would you want people to know about Matthew Braidley Johnson?
Just one thing. I'm going to go back to this. Let me show this real quick. This has kind of been a theme in my life is this, and we've talked about this today during this interview, is be still. The prophet Isaiah, he says this, he says, in returning and rest shall ye be saved. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. Like, be still is a true principle. We get so caught up in the commotion and distractions of life, and we think it's like, oh, I've got to get on to the next thing, and boom, boom. The harder I work, the more I work, the more successful I'll be, right? And then he warns that. He says, but you would not. You don't do these things. You don't rest and return. You don't be quiet, but you would not. But you said, no, for we will flee upon our horses. Therefore shall ye flee. And we will ride upon the swift. Therefore they that pursue you shall be swift. Oh, it's powerful. We don't take enough time to just chill, to just be quiet and sit there and do nothing and ponder and feel his peace. It says here, if you don't do that, it says, they that pursue you shall also be swift. He's talking about the adversary. The faster, you end up going faster and faster, and you run faster than you have strength, and you break down. You fall. You don't last. I've had to learn that sometimes the hard way. And there's times to push yourself, right? I get that. But there's also times, but you will be saved in the moments where in returning and rest. If I learned anything in my life that I would want other people to know about me, is that I know from personal experiences that when we take the time to be still, we do feel that peace from the Prince and founder of peace, even Jesus Christ. And when we don't take those moments, we are susceptible to the adversary, and life is harder. Life is harder without Jesus Christ in it. It truly is. So those are my final thoughts.
You're a great example of that, of aligning your life in a way and making choices in your life that have allowed you to have the time to be still. It's a great example to me. You know, I feel like we do too much, and I'm speaking personally. Our family, we just are involved in too much, saying yes to too much. And I had someone point out to me recently, everything you say yes to means a no to something else. Yeah. And sometimes that no might be just a quiet family night at home.
Totally.
And you're an amazing example to me of the power in having time to go on hikes. You know, I see those hikes on your Instagram. You're being outdoors, you're with your kids, working from home, you're getting to spend the time. And so if anyone takes anything from this episode, I hope it's that the choices that you make, you know, there's good options, and there's good, better, and there's best options. And I think only our conscience can dictate what is truly best for our spirit, for our families, and for our ability to find peace, to have that relationship with the Savior. So Matt, thank you so much for being here. This has been an awesome conversation.
I feel honored to be had on this. Thank you so much for inviting me.
You're very knowledgeable, but before you go, I have to have you plug your social media. You are my service guy. I get asked all the time through the piano place, do you have a tuner? And yes, everybody, I have a tuner. His name is Matt. So tell us where to find you.
So our website is MatthewBraidleyPianos.com. And Braidley, by the way, is my middle name. It's not my last name. My last name's Johnson. Matt Johnson, two of the most common names ever. But so Braidley, Braidley. Braidley is a unique name. It's a family name. So
classy. Matthew Braidley.
Thank you. Matthew Braidley Pianos. You can find me on Instagram. It's at Matthew Braidley. That's it. We've got a team of 5 piano technicians. We have a team of like 6 piano movers. We've got admin people. It's a whole orchestra.
It is.
To make a musical again. But that's how you find me.
Okay, well, there you heard it. If you need tuning, if you need moving, if you need any type of service and you're in the Utah area, where do you service? All the way?
Basically all of Utah, northern Utah.
Wasatch Front.
We don't go to St. George. We move pianos to St. George, but we don't tune pianos in St. George.
Okay. This is good to know, but this is going to help me because I'm going to say, here's my guy for all the people that ask me. Well, Matt, thank you so much for being here. It has been a pleasure.
Thank you.
You've been listening to More Than Musicians. Thanks for being here. You can find us on YouTube, Instagram, and anywhere you get your podcasts. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe, rate, and review. It helps more people find us. And if you or someone you know has a story you'd like to share, we'd love to hear from you. You can email us at morethanmusicians@gmail.com. We'll be back next week with another episode. See you then.